cruise lines have become their own worst enemy. Let's find out why. Coming up on Adventure Made Simple. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Adventure Made Simple, our daily travel digest. I got a haircut and I look great, so woo! I'm a little irritated though. As I was getting my haircut, conversation with the stylist came up. What do you do? What are you doing today? I said, well, I'm on call because it's crazy in my world of business right now. She's like, oh, what do you do? And I said, well, I sell cruises, travel, and things of that nature. And she said, oh, that sounds fun, except right now, I don't know that I'd want to go on a cruise. And I said, well, why not? And she said, I don't think the cruise lines are really capable of handling the sort of medical problems of a big COVID outbreak. And I, at the time, was like, oh, you really should know all the things they've done to be able to handle this and how great they're doing at enforcing protocols and taking care of their guests on board when they get sick. And she said, oh no, I saw a TikTok video that kind of led me to believe the opposite. And I'm like, well, I hadn't heard about that. So I get home, start thinking about the video that I'm going to make, and then it hits me. I see a story online about how cruise lines are treating the passengers who come down with COVID on board the ship. And I'm flabbergasted at what I'm reading. Not all the cruise lines, just one very big cruise line that I happen to really like a lot is letting me down. And I'm starting to realize cruise lines right now are becoming their own worst enemy. It's not the media, it's the stances they're taking and the stories that are getting out about how they're handling things on board. From the New Year's Eve parties that the videos got out showing nobody wearing masks and whatnot in the tight cramped quarters that could have easily been held on top of the ship in the pool area, outside, that sort of thing. That's the little PR misstep that could have flown kind of under the radar, but this is getting a little bit out of hand. When you've got TikTokers talking about their bad experiences being quarantined on the ship, things are starting to not look good, and I'm a little irritated with the cruise lines myself. Now, it's not all lines. It's only, this story happens to be about one, and that is Royal Caribbean. A line that I sell very much, the line that I love. I've been on a bunch of Royal Caribbean cruises and would sail on them again. But I gotta say, from this article, this is not the kind of story you want to get out. And right now, you're shooting yourself in the foot. The story talks about, and I found it on MSN, and we can scroll through it together, we'll look at it, talks about the types of food and the service once someone is quarantined, comes down with COVID, or is a close contact of someone that has COVID. They get quarantined on the ship, and then what happens next? How are they treated? I would think they would be treated rather well, as best, in the most safest way possible, but still a paying cruise guest, still someone that is a potential future customer, not someone to be set aside, not somebody to be pushed aside, swept under a rug, not treated like a second-class citizen. I don't want to make the comparison of a prisoner of war, but some of these stories sound not that far off. Not how I would want to be treated. If I was treated like this on a cruise ship, I'd be pretty upset too. The story quotes a couple of different folks, a couple of passengers, a couple of crew members. And the stories range from someone having a difficult time getting in touch with room service to be fed. And when the food comes, it's not that great. It's a very limited menu, not like they'd have access to throughout the ship. And I can understand how that might be the case, but cruise ships are full of food, no matter how you cut it. They shouldn't really be limited on what they can order and eat on the ship if they're stuck in their cabins. The other part of the story comes from cruise director, entertainment staff, and other crew that have decided to decided to stay anonymous to protect their jobs. I can understand that. But they have pictures of them being served rotten fruit, boxes of rice and a hard-boiled egg, other things like that. Really meager meals, something you might find in prison. That's the only comparison I can make. I know it's silly, but that looks like prison food to me, or maybe military food. I don't know, but it's definitely not cruise food, and it's not something you would eat. And not something you would give a paying customer or an employee for that matter. I think it's atrocious, and I hope that this is not a broad picture of what's going on throughout the cruise industry. I hope these are isolated incidents, but I don't know. The only thing I can do is go by what is being shown to me, and that's what's being shown to me. Now, the other side of the story, there are other cruise lines that are apparently doing better. In the same article, it talks about Norwegian Cruise Line, where customers are happy with their food. Seabourn, which of course is a luxury line where you're paying 4 times what you pay to go on a Royal Caribbean cruise. They got fancy meals in their cabins on paper plates, but that goes to show you that it's not a blanket thing throughout the cruise industry, and it may just be a ship situation, not a line situation, but it makes you wonder. And I think that's an area where the cruise line needs to be called out. In this case, Royal Caribbean needs to be called out on the treatment that they are providing to their staff and guests that are quarantined. And if they're moving crew into these ships like the Vision of the Seas, I can only imagine what the conditions are there. It makes me really concerned. So maybe there can be some improvement made, but this is not the kind of press that the cruise lines need right now. The cruise lines need to be minding their, I want to say P and O, but their P's and Q's. So, because this industry cannot handle another press disaster. It just can't. And the cruise lines, they're not bulletproof. I don't care how big you are. There's no such thing as too big to fail. And you know what? For those of us in our industry, in the travel agent industry, that do our best to provide recommendations and sell your product, you need to do better for us, because we're definitely not big enough to fail. And we are failing because of things like this. The latest report I read said that maybe 30% of travel advisors have shuttered their doors and ceased operation in the last couple of years. 30% of an entire industry gone. And some of us are just barely hanging on by a thread as it is. So, need to get your act together, guys, for everybody's sake. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you're new to the channel, and I'm sure everybody is because I've only just started doing this 2 days ago, I invite you to subscribe. I try and bring a lighthearted look at things, but this was too serious for me to joke about. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Please subscribe if you haven't. Like the video, share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.